What if I told you a simple trick could turn an ordinary print like this on my inkjet printer into a vintage style oil painting? In this video, I'm going to show you how I give one of my graphics a rich texture and an old world finish that looks like it's been around for decades. Okay, let's get started. Have you got an image that you've printed on your inkjet printer or your laser printer and it's just kind of boring you don't want to frame it like this and you want to make it look like a vintage oil painting? I've got a few hacks that's going to help you achieve that look. This is a graphic from my Etsy store. It's also available in my graphics club. And members, you can go into the file and grab them and download this right away. But it's just a print. It doesn't look anything like it's old and authentic. So I went to the dollar store and I picked up an artist canvas. This is an 8x10, and we are going to use this as the base on our print. What we want to do is we want to create those old vintage brush lines from an oil painting and give it that deep look. Now, because I did this print on my inkjet printer, if I was to introduce any sort of liquids to it, the ink is gonna run, it's gonna smear, it's gonna bleed, it's gonna look awful. So we have to seal this up first before we do the next step. If you have printed off your graphic on a laser printer, then you can skip this step because the type of toner that they use in a laser does not run. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take this outside and I'm gonna spray it with some clear polyacrylic sealer, and we're gonna spray the front. We're also gonna spray the back. That's gonna seal all of this ink in before we go on to make it look like an old oil painting. So I'll be back after I spray it. While we're waiting for the print to dry, I like to use some joint compound on my canvas. It just kind of gives it a little bit of tooth. You can also use some gesso. I have this on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. We're just going to take a knife and just kind of spread it, because oil paintings didn't have a smooth surface. So this is just going to create a little bit of texture. Once we have this completely covered and smoothed out nice, we're going to set this aside and let it also dry. The joint compound is all dry. It's hard to see on camera, but there's just a little bit of texture that I've added to that canvas. And the polyacrylic spray is all dry on the print. I'm now just going to put it on here and we're going to cut it to size. I probably should have done this step first. I always get excited when I start these DIYs, and sometimes I don't think about the order that I should be doing this in. Probably cutting it in the beginning would have been easier. So we're just going to cut it down to size. This will always also work if you have a magazine page that you love, or a page in a book, or a graphic that you've made yourself and you just want to make it look like an old oil painting. This is a really great technique and fun to fool around with. There we go. Now it's the right size that we need. We're now going to get our Mod Podge mat. You want to make sure that you're using a Mod Podge mat. You don't want anything that's going to be glossy and show too much of a sheen to it. So the mat works perfectly. We're going to just apply it on the canvas first to put down the print on. And you want to slop it on. You want to have texture underneath. You want to have it kind of higher in some spots, lower in others. We don't want it perfect. That's pretty good. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to pick up our print and set it right in that. I love this graphic. It has a real cozy feel to it. Now I'm going to get my brayer We're gonna really push it in. We want that texture of the canvas kind of popping through. Okay, so now what I want to do is just set this aside, and we want to let it dry completely underneath. I'll be back. Everything's completely dry. Now we're going to get sloppy. We're going to take that Mod Podge and we're just going to go short strokes back and forth. We're going to leave some pieces a little bit higher, some a little bit lower. You don't want it too thick because sometimes Mod Podge won't dry clear if you have it on too thick. But you can see here, see how I have kind of it going in all different directions? That's mimicking brush marks from an oil painting. We're gonna just keep going until we have it completely covered. Back and forth. And I think we've got that covered pretty good. So we're just gonna set this aside now with all those little brush marks. And you can kind of around the edges where they would have maybe that oil painting would have been a bit thicker, kind of build it up there, dab it. Okay, let's set this aside and let it dry. First coat is completely dry. We've got lots of texture in it underneath, and I think I still want to put one more coat of the Mod Podge on top. I'm gonna just crisscross back and forth across the whole graphic. And then we're gonna set it aside and let it dry. You can speed this up with a heat gun if you have one, or a hair dryer on a low setting. Starting to look really fantastic, lots of texture in it. I think I want even more, so I'm gonna go really aggressive. We're gonna dump some of that Mod Podge right on. I've got a sponge, and we're just gonna sponge all over that entire print. If you don't have any Mod Podge, you can actually use homemade Mod Podge. I have a full tutorial on how to make it. I'll put the QR code right up in the corner right here, and it's really affordable to make, and it would work perfect for this project. This is leaving little air bubbles also, which is going to help add to the texture. Did you see what I just did right there?
Which is going to help.
I just poured that Mod Podge in the lid. What do you think is gonna happen? It's gonna have Mod Podge all in this lid. I'm gonna screw it on the jar and my lid's not gonna come off. Crafting fail. Don't do what I did. Okay. Last coat. I'm not doing any more after this. Let's set this aside and let it dry. Here is all the texture. Can you see in the camera that we've created on this print to make it look like an old, authentic oil painting? Let's take it to the next level. I am going to add some of my homemade DIY antiquing wax because they're always kind of aged around the edges. So I'm going to take my wax brush, just kind of add some in the corners where it would have naturally aged. I have the full tutorial for this. I'll put the QR code right here if you want to make your own antiquing wax. It's so affordable to make your own and it works fabulous. It's just going to add that aged look to this print. Old oil paintings always just kind of look kind of grubby and old. And that's going to give that effect. When I was out thrifting, I found this frame and it was the exact size that I needed without anything in the middle. So we are going to mount it in this frame and I'm going to show you the finished product. And that's how you can take a simple print and give it the rich texture of an old oil painting. I love how this turned out, and it feels like something you discover in a vintage shop, but you can make it right at home. If you enjoyed this, you're gonna love my next video where I upcycle thrifted china dishes into gorgeous functional decor pieces. Just click here and let's keep creating together. Take care.